Hari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madha, Radha Madha, Radha Madha, Jaya Radha Madha. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Shtoter Shtata Shushimad, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajak Acharya Shtoter Shtata Shushimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Ramacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Goviya Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Dham Deep Dham Ki. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Ganga Maya Ki. Jamuna Maya Ki. Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani Ki. Hari Nam Sankirtan Yagya Ki. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Nita Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, all pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Nastapreshu Narayanam Namaskrita Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devyam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer his respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nastapreshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance on classes in the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is practically eradicated. Loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established in the heart as an irrevocable fact. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter number 23. Maharaj Priti returns to Godhead, text number 19. We'd like to welcome Tayton, Hare Krishna, and Gauranga Prema's mother. I forgot your name now. What's that? Jennifer. I thought it was Jen. I actually remembered it. I just didn't want to risk it. I did. No, I did. I was thinking it's Jennifer, but I said no. So, Archunama Maharajni. Archunama Maharagi. Tadpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhuva. Archunama Maharagi. Tatpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhuva. Archunama Maharagni. Tatpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhava. Bhuva. Archunama Maharagni. Tatpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhuva. Archunama Maharagi. Tatpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhuva. Chirnama Maharagni. Tatpatnyanugatavanam. Sukumar yatat arhacha. Yadpadvyam sparshanam bhuva. Synonyms. Archinama. Of the name Archie. Maharagni. The queen. Tatpatni. The wife of Maharaj Prithu. Anugata. Who followed her husband. Vanam. In the forest. Sukumari. Very delicate body. Give you a name for a female group. Sukumari Devi Dasa. Atat Aha. Who did not deserve. Cha. Also. Yatpadvyam. A touch of whose feet. By the touch of whose feet. Sparshanam. Touching. Bhuvaha. On the earth. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The queen, the wife of Prithu Maharaj, whose name was Archie, followed her husband into the forest. Since she was a queen, her body was very delicate. Although she did not deserve to live in a forest, she voluntarily touched her lotus feet to the ground. Please repeat. The queen, the wife of Prithu Maharaj, whose name was Archie, followed her husband into the forest. Since she was a queen, her body was very delicate. Although she did not deserve to live in the forest, she voluntarily touched her lotus feet to the ground. besides Lavanga or Lalita? Who knows how Archie was born?
I was out of all this churning body thing. I don't remember which part.
Yeah. Report. Because Prithu Maharaj's wife was the queen and also a daughter of a king, she never experienced walking on the ground. For queens used to never come out of the palace. They certainly never went to the forest and tolerated all the difficulties of living in the wilderness. In the Vedic civilization, there are hundreds of similar examples of such renunciation on the part of queens and dedication to the husband. The goddess of fortune, Mother Sita, followed her husband Ramachandra when he went to the forest. Lord Ramachandra went to the forest in compliance with the order of his father, Maharaj Dasharath. But Mother Sita was not so ordered. Nonetheless, she voluntarily accepted the path of her husband. Similarly, Gandhari, the wife of King Dhritarashtra, also followed her husband into the forest. Being the wives of great Tamyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Ishwari Vishbhanu Shruti Devi Paramabhiyari Pre Vancha Kalpatra Bhishta Kripa Sindhu Bhiyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvashesha Shanyavadi Pastita Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we have a nice verse here. Some people could possibly take the controversial route on this verse. It has the potentiality to be controversial, but we're not going to go there. So we're hearing about Archie Maharani, the wife of Maharaj Prithu, and how she performed renunciation at the time of Maharaj Prithu's renunciation. So a lot of these things in Vedic culture are understood only through the lens of love. If we remove the love aspect of Vedic culture, we remove the fact that love is the basis for Krishna conscious culture, then it becomes very, very strange. Krishna says, abandon everything and surrender to me, and I will deliver you from all sins. Do not fear. That can seem kind of demanding, but when you realize there's love. This is actually Krishna's speaking to Arjuna. He says time and time again, because you're my very dear friend. Manmana bhavamad bhakta madhyajimam namaskuru mameva shashi shatyamte pratijani priyosime. So when you hear Manmana bhavamad bhakta, always think of me, worship me, become my devotee. It's very, very, commanding. This is the Lord speaking, but then this priyosime, because you're my friend, I'll deliver you. You'll come to me. Don't worry, because you're very priya, you're very dear to me. So this is our position in the material world, that we're very dear to Krishna. There's nothing we can do that'll stop Krishna from loving us. As much as we try, as much as we think that we are not qualified to receive Krishna's love, there's nothing we can do that'll stop Krishna from loving us. So in Vedic culture, the husband and wife, they came together for the purpose of performing Krishna conscious activities. This is the basis of a husband and wife relationship in actual human culture, civilized culture. That generally in the material world, people are coming together for sense gratification. This is the purpose of material life. I'm coming together because of sense gratification. I scratch my back, I scratch your back, you scratch my back. This sort of thing is going on. And we see that when the sense gratification ceases to exist, the relationship soon follows. This is the process. So people are ultimately very dissatisfied in relationships in the material world, especially relationships between man and woman, because this is a very complicated relationship. These men and women are different in their psychology. So when you remove the sense gratification and you don't have love, you don't have God in the center, then what you have is not a very compatible situation, actually, because there's polarity. And we can't deny that, actually. There's polarity in the material world. There's north and south. There's positive and negative. And there's man and woman. This is the principle of polarity of gender. You can't actually deny that. People want to, though. There's electromagnetic. It's the same thing. There's electricity and then there's magnetism. So this polarity is in the world. Now, is it bad? Not if Krishna's in the center, because this is coming from Krishna. Radha Krishna. Radha Krishna are the original masculine and feminine. And Radha Krishna get along pretty well. So it's not that this polarity between man and woman is bad, but they're different. And so we can't change that. There's different psychologies most of the time. Of course, things are getting a little mixed up nowadays because the types of souls are I guess, taking, the karmas are different. So subtle bodies aren't matching gross bodies, I'm assuming. But in the case of Vedic culture, the husband and the wife, they came together to perform God-conscious activities, to help each other. This is the purpose of marriage in the Vedic culture. So there is a sense of duty. That's a huge aspect of our philosophy, is having a sense of duty. If you don't develop a sense of duty, it's very difficult to become Krishna conscious. Because before there's love, there's duty. This is the understanding that Krishna is telling Arjuna, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaram yudhya. We just read that verse this morning. So perform your prescribed duty. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmaram yudhya. While remembering me. So we're performing our duties while remembering Krishna, but we don't give up our duty, because giving up our duty, that's in the mode of passion. So husband and wife come together, they have a duty to love each other, to take care of each other, to worship Krishna together, to help each other in Krishna consciousness. There's a commitment that's made before God, and therefore to give that up is a type of bad karma. There's exceptions. I'm not saying there's not exceptions, if something's extremely abusive. But generally, because sense gratification will be there, goods and bads will be there, but when you're dedicated, when you have a commitment to someone or something, you don't give up that commitment. You work together. You serve, and you do this for God. You put the higher purpose there. When you have a higher ideal, all of a sudden, any type of group effort becomes more congenial by having a higher purpose. So many individuals who have their own agenda, that can never work. But when all the individuals come together for one group agenda, especially for Krishna's agenda, then it works. We can work together. So Archie wasn't just going into the forest because, it's her duty to follow her husband. She didn't have to. She didn't want to, but out of love, they go into the forest. She followed him. And the thing is the wife is assisting the husband in performing so many Krishna conscious activities, preaching, whatever it is. And the husband is assisting the wife in doing the same, and protecting, encouraging, guiding. All of this is going on. And therefore, there's love. There's affection, because this is actually a Krishna conscious relationship. Krishna is in the center. When Krishna is in the center of any relationship, whether it be a friendship or a a conjugal relationship, husband and wife relationship, then that changes everything very much, because there can be real love. I'm not just attached to you because of your body or because you glorify and you stroke my false ego. I'm attached to you because you're a devotee of Krishna. And you're helping me go back to Godhead. So the wife feels that I'm not going to give up my service, because it's not just service to the husband, it's service to Krishna through the husband, because that's the duty that's given to the wife by Krishna. Or the duty of the husband is to take care of the wife. This is a divine duty because you've gone in front of the Lord and you made that commitment. So it's very special. So Queen Archie is following Maharaj Prithu into the forest. And it's described that she had never even come out of the palace. We're talking, these are big palaces, right? So she was a queen. She was, not just a queen of England, but the queen of the whole universe, the whole world, not just this Varsha, the entire Bhumandala. She was the queen. And so Maharaj Prithu goes into the forest and she thinks, I must follow because of loyalty. And so we can see this in the husband and wife. It's very nice, but it's also very nice in all relationships, this sense of loyalty, this sense of duty. We have a relationship with our guru. We have a relationship with other devotees. We have many relationships, and we can understand that actually Krishna consciousness, real Krishna consciousness means forming and maintaining relationships. This is the real sign of advancement for someone who's progressing in the spiritual path. You can see someone, they know many verses, they know all the shlokas, they give beautiful classes, but if they're not creating lasting relationships, you can understand that they're not so advanced. So forgive me, I'm not so advanced. But this is the real understanding, because that is demonstrating how such a person is able to express their love. Such a person is able to be there for another person. And to serve the Vaishnavas is to serve Krishna. Level of Krishna service. You want to serve Krishna in the highest possible way, serve his devotees. Vidati prati grinati guyamakyati prichati. Bhakte bhajayate chaivam sadvidam priti lakshanam. There's 6 loving exchanges that happen between devotees. Rupa Goswami explains. In the Nectar of Instruction, the Upadeshamrita, the 11 most essential instructions for advancing in spiritual life. And so all these instructions are based on sadhana, more or less. Then you hear this one about loving exchanges. Because it's so important for our spiritual life that we engage in these 6 loving exchanges. Dudati prati grinati, giving gifts and receiving gifts. This is a way of expressing love between devotees. Guyamakyati prichati, revealing one's mind in confidence and hearing one's mind in confidence. Bhakte bhajayate chaivam, taking prasadam together, offering prasadam and receiving prasadam. And these 6 loving exchanges happen between Vaishnavas. And so when you engage in the loving exchanges, you give gifts out of love with a lot of thought. You receive gifts very graciously. You hear someone's heart. You hear their mind and you reveal your heart to them amongst the devotees. When you do this, you'll find that your relationships become very deep, very solid, very strong. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that the purpose of ISKCON is to facilitate these relationships. In that purport of that verse, Prabhupada says that the purpose of ISKCON is just to facilitate these loving relationships. So that's true of all relationships, not just, friends, guru and disciple, but even husband and wife. It's a very solid marriage advice here. Dati prati grinati guyamakyati prichati. Make sure you're giving gifts and receiving gifts. And when the mind, guyamakyati prichati, when the time comes to reveal your mind in confidence, then Be confident. Have confidence in that person, Reveal your mind. They should be there for you, and you should be there for them. This is real love. This is actual Vaishnavism. It sounds kind of sentimental, not my normal style of class, but actually this is the real thing. This is the real Vaishnava activity. It's described that Sanatana Goswami, and who can be more advanced than Sanatana Goswami? Who can be more advanced? I can't think of anybody. Sanatana Goswami, he would chant the holy names for 24 hours. He would do so many wonderful devotional activities, but everybody loved him. All the Vaishnavas loved him, of course, but even the poor people, the low-class people, the people who were not Vaishnavas, they all loved Sanatana Goswami because Sanatana Goswami loved them. And it's described that sometimes Sanatana Goswami would sit up all night with them, speaking of their mundane activities. Just out of love for them, they would reveal their mind to him. They would come to him for marriage advice, which is like, so, here's Sanatana Goswami. He's capable of, with a glance, he can send you back to Godhead, honestly. But you're going to him for marriage advice. Not so first class. But because they were attached to him, they became devotees. They became purified. And we've seen, actually, personally, seen how, generally you don't want to approach your spiritual master with this type of stuff. I love it, Let's go approach our guru who's never been married and who's never been on a date, has been a brahmachari since 16, and ask him for marriage advice. Of course, our spiritual master was married for 30 plus years, so he's actually very competent to give marriage advice, but sometimes you see that, You're going to approach Jadwaita Maharaj for marriage advice. Bhakti Vikash Swami or whatever. No. I mean, not to be offensive, all the Vaishnavas can give very sound advice because they're Vaishnavas. Looks like there's a walking tree because I just see them dragging the tree. And it looked like there's a tree walking. No, they're all competent to give advice because they understand the Shastra. But there's something special about someone who's experienced that, Approaching a Grihastha for advice in the Grihastha ashram is wise. But no, we don't want to approach our spiritual master with such mundane stuff most of the time, but still, they will help us if they can. We want to approach the spiritual master with first-class questions like, what is the purpose of life? What am I to chant about? What is the duty of a man about to die? These are the questions that Maharaj Prithu asked his guru. But if we can become attached to the sadhu, then we have the doors of liberation open to us. I've seen one person who had no interest in Krishna consciousness, but found that my spiritual master was very good at giving advice and giving comfort during these types of hectic situations. And due to that attachment to my Guru Maharaj, that person became a devotee and did become interested in Krishna consciousness. So, if you're actually a saintly person, then when they're attached, they make advancement. So Sanatana Goswami, who could be more advanced? Yet he was speaking. He was having these loving exchanges with all of the different Brajavasis. He was giving them marriage advice. He was speaking with them about apparently mundane subject matters. But this is the essence, that a Vaishnava becomes personal. So Archie's loyalty to her husband is out of love. I'm going to follow you. And then we see that Sita, she followed Ram into the forest. Ram was very much against Sita going into the forest. But she was insistent that I must follow you into the forest. And we see what happened. She got herself in pretty big trouble. from going into the forest. But still, this is there. So this loyalty to the other devotees, to the husband, to the guru, to the Vaishnavas, to Krishna, this is first class. We have to become loyal. We have to become committed. The Vaishnava means steady. So when times get tough, I mean, and they will, if you think that they won't, you're misunderstanding, because Krishna says, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, temporary and full of misery, this material world. And he says we have to tolerate happiness and distress. He doesn't say that they won't come. So if we think that it's going to be easy after we're devotees now, we don't have anything to worry about. That's true in one sense, but there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be tests of faith. You will be tested. And there's the worst thing you can ever do is think, I'm beyond getting tested. The instant you think that way, Krishna will come up with a test that is perfectly fitted to challenge you. We should never think, I got this, or I'm solid. And you should always think, I'm nothing. I just, who am I? I just need mercy. Once we start thinking that I'm solid in Krishna consciousness, then we begin to start to slide. We can never think that way. We should always think, I just am simply dependent on you, Krishna. So all of these tests are going, but will we follow, our husband, our leader? Will we follow Krishna into the forest? Because it's one thing if the husband is not Krishna conscious, it's a very different thing. But because, Prithvi Maharaj is one of the most Krishna conscious people imaginable, there's deep love there, and we want to follow them. We have loyalty to them. So it goes to show there's this dedication, this chastity to Guru and Krishna. And that applies in Vedic times especially. Of course, things are more muddied nowadays in this Kali Yuga. But in Vedic times, the husband was Guru Pati. He was the guru of the wife. So many ways. And so there's that loyalty there. And the wife, she becomes very powerful from practicing chastity, this loyalty to the husband. She gains a lot of power. Just like Gandhari, she had so much mystic power because Dhritarashtra was blind, so she voluntarily went blind herself. She didn't want to seem greater than her husband. And so when she opened her eyes, she was able to grant mystic powers to whoever saw her eyes. And she granted her son Duryodhana mystic powers, that his body would become indestructible. And so during the battle of Kurukshetra, right before the battle, she told her son, come to me naked, and I'll look at you and your entire body will become indestructible. But Krishna was there, and Krishna understanding everything that's going on. He said, you can't go in front of your mom naked, man. At least cover your thighs. And so she opened her eyes and he became indestructible everywhere but the thighs. And it's understood that how did Bhima finish Dhritarashtra? He broke his thigh with a club. So he was defeated in that way. But yeah, the wife becomes powerful from chastity, from loyalty. It's a symptom of Kali Yuga that married couples don't have any loyalty to each other. It's a symptom of the age of Kali. But in the previous ages, in the golden age, in the Satya Yuga, there was love. Loyalty is a symptom of love. I'm dedicated. Dedication, commitment, these are actual symptoms of love, not just feelings that overwhelm us. So we have to be in it for the long haul when we make a commitment, especially, like a marriage or an initiation. We've taken a vow. It's a very serious thing. So we don't take it lightly. We don't take vows lightly. And, in any case, material world's always difficult. So let me just go through the purport here. See if there's anything else. So you can just take the example also. I'm going a different way with this class and exactly what I wanted to speak about, but I'm just going to go the way that my heart's telling me to go. That, you can just see the example of Archie, and it doesn't just apply to, husband and wife, but it applies to all of us, that we have to be willing to go through some difficulty or put our feet on the ground, so to speak, to serve Krishna. Service to God is not a cheap thing. We have to be willing to go the extra mile for Krishna. We have to be willing to follow the orders of the Guru, to stay committed, to do what's necessary to please Krishna. If we do like that, then we'll taste Krishna's love. Because that's a sign of love. It's a sign of loyalty. Right? We don't want any fair weather friends in Krishna consciousness. I'm your friend for some time. It's nice. I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Everything's so nice. And then when things get hard, I'm no longer chanting Hare Krishna. I'm out. I disappear. So we have to have solid understanding. How do we get that? How do we become actually fixed more and more? Because it's very easy to have sentimental faith. That's called Lokika Shraddha, a sentimental faith. I like this Krishna consciousness. It's very nice, it's sweet, I'm enjoying it. There's a nice social group. We have a nice group of friends. And, I'm part of this religion. It's Lokika Shraddha. It's called village faith. It's not very strong. When things get tough, we tend to forget Krishna. So if we hear properly, and by hearing properly and by actually studying the Shastras, we get Shastrika Shraddha. We get faith in the Shastra. We understand why we're doing what we're doing. And we're doing it very consciously. We're chanting Hare Krishna very consciously. We're not in the kirtan, just our mind is somewhere else. We're actually thinking about Krishna in the kirtan. We're hearing Krishna's names. We're in Bhagavatam class listening very intently. We're understanding what's going on. We understand why we're worshiping Krishna. We understand the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, which is not so easy to understand. I'm not this body. And I'm not the doer. We think we're the doer. This is a huge snag in our spiritual life. We think I'm the doer. We get past that thinking I'm the doer of the material things. We start thinking I'm the doer of spiritual things. I'm a pujari. I'm a manager. I'm a preacher. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And Krishna's doing all of that. Krishna's the actual doer. We're not the doer. And so when we realize, Krishna's the doer, we can renounce all these things. We still act, but we're renouncing. Internally, we know that our only real power is to simply desire to serve. To the depth and to the degree we desire to serve God, we have a longing to know God and to love God. To that degree, Krishna will facilitate our activities in his service. Upadrastani mantascha bharta bhakta maheshvara paramatmeti chapyukto dehismin purusha paraha. Krishna explains that he's the overseer and the permitter. He's the master, the enjoyer. Bharta bhakta maheshvara. And the supreme controller. So, whatever we desire, Krishna has to permit, Krishna has to oversee, Krishna enjoys it ultimately. So he's in our heart. He's the super soul within our heart. So what power do we have? All we have is the power to desire. So devotees may find themselves in so many situations that are challenging. where it might be very easy to run away or to not go in the forest, and then in Arjuna's case, to go into the forest. It's confusing sometimes. Life is confusing. But no matter what happens, and we may find ourselves totally off, but no matter what happens, I still remain devoted to Krishna. I still remain in my heart. I don't give up my chanting. I don't give up my hearing. I don't give up Krishna. And we'll accept whatever consequences come upon us. We might find ourselves in some sinful position. And we understand that there's going to be heavy consequences for these actions. Okay, let them come, but just don't let me forget you, Krishna. This is actual surrender. We have this bhajate mama nanyabhak. We're unflinching in our devotion. And so, how does this all relate to Archie? Because we can say I'm unflinchingly devoted to God, but that's not very well demonstrated unless we become unflinchingly devoted to the devotees. Our relationship with God is a reflection of our relationship with people in this world, and vice versa. Or you can say more clearly, our relationship with the people in this world is a reflection of our relationship with God. So if we claim to have a very nice relationship with God, but we don't have very nice relationships with others, then we should understand that our relationship with God isn't so strong. We're imagining, we're concocting. But when you have solid relationships with others, deep Vaishnava friendships, that's a sign that you have a very solid relationship with God. So we have certain commitments in life to other people, like the guru or the husband or wife. And these relationships are tests for us. And these are our duties and our services. That I'm going to remain loyal to this process, to this person, through all the different ups and downs. And because of that, I come to a higher level of love. I may find myself in so much misery, but materially, but actually internally I'll feel bliss because I am dedicated to this process. I'm dedicated to this person. And I'm willing to go through struggle for them. I'm willing to accept material pain for spiritual love. No one wants meaningless pain. Meaningless pain is very, very horrible. But people willingly accept meaningful pain. And no one wants meaningless pleasure. Meaningless pleasure never satisfies us. But meaningful pleasure is very, very wonderful. So we're not seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. We're actually seeking meaning. And when we're seeking meaning, we don't understand until we come to Krishna. We don't understand real love until we have this Krishna conscious awareness awaken in our heart. So we're always having to go through something. It's part of the world to, demonstrate our love. Like, in the case of Archie, she's following Maharaj Prithu into the forest. And this is an act of devotion to God. It's not just like, I'm devoted to my husband sentimentally, because she made a commitment to the Lord. They're committed. And so she's following. And in the case of, the gopis, they were leaving their husbands and going into the forest to see Krishna. So we have to somehow or another understand what Krishna wants via the Vaishnavas, the Shastras, and the sadhus, and do it unflinchingly, without hesitation. Are there any questions? Gauranga?
Yeah, I appreciate how you brought up that this all goes back to love and ultimately love for Krishna. But also, you mentioned in your class that it sounds sentimental, but it's only something's only sentimental if we don't have philosophy to back it up.
Yeah.
And if we got the philosophy to back it up, then it's Krishna conscious, because bhakti at the end of the day is all about love.
It's all sentiment. I mean,
Yeah, and it's really nice. I just really appreciate how you brought out this verse. Basically, when you examine it deeply, it brings out the whole entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Service to the devotees. You have Archie serving Prithvi Maharaj, and then Prithvi Maharaj, he maintained Archie, also as well. And then they're going to the forest to just fully concentrate on Krishna and go back to Godhead together. And so,
yeah, it's a nice point you bring out that, why is Prithvi Maharaj going into the forest? He's not just going to the forest. Like Arjuna was wanting to go to the forest to run away from Krishna. But Prithvi Maharaj is going to the forest to find Krishna. And so, why is anybody married? She's going to the forest to help Prithvi Maharaj to continue to help him to find Krishna. And this is real love, if you can help someone find Krishna.
yeah.
You can just always keep Krishna in the center. And realize, if you've made a commitment to someone, then that's what Krishna wants from us, to tolerate. And, be unflinchingly kind. So it's very sweet. It's very sweet. It's a lot of surrender on Archie's part, that she's going into the forest with Maharaj Prithu. And Sita Devi, she's following Ram. That's a great example. Sita Devi, would you rather have a life of immense opulence, or would you rather have Lord Ram? Choose Lord Rama every time. I'll choose Krishna every time. So, Sita Devi, I'll go into the forest with you because it's for Krishna. And we should always think like that, whatever it is we're doing, it's Bhoktram Yagya Tapasam. Krishna is, we're having to make sacrifice, always making sacrifice. There's always sacrifices in the material world that have to be made. And Krishna is the Bhoktram Yagya Tapasam. All the sacrifices are ultimately enjoyed by Krishna. So we might as well do them in such a way that they're intentionally pleasing Krishna. And, whatever it is we're going through, that's coming from Krishna. And if you don't, like I've said this before, it's kind of scary when you realize Krishna's in control of everything. I'm not the doer of anything. I'm just kind of like watching a movie, thinking I'm the doer. It's kind of scary, but when you realize that Krishna is Suridam Sarvabhutanam, he's our friend and he loves us. So whatever it is we can imagine, whatever way is being sent our way, God doesn't make mistakes. Everything is done for by his arrangement, for our benefit, for our rectification, to help us. So it's so easy to kind of think, oh my Lord, I'm this way, I'm that way, help me. Even, we're praying, I want to be a better devotee, I want to, but, the real prayer is, I'm yours. Like, even if you, like hurt my devotional service, even if it seems like I'm losing my devotional service, if this is what you want, then, I'm here, but I'm not going to forget you. We have this kind of conviction to Krishna. And then if we think like that, it helps us too, because we don't get puffed up. Like, I think I'm a big preacher, or I'm a big man in Krishna consciousness. This is all Krishna. Krishna's giving you this service. There's no difference between the guy sweeping the temple and, the guy doing all these big services, because Krishna's giving us this service. So we should be satisfied by whatever service Krishna gives us. And if we're not satisfied with whatever service Krishna gives us, then that's our false ego. I want a bigger position. So, Tesha, what is it? Yeyetam mam prapadyate, tam tataiva bhajamyaham. Everybody's getting what they deserve. And that's kind of a intense thing to think about. But It's the truth. Everybody's getting what they deserve. So, don't lament for anybody. Just simply, whatever happens, always remember Krishna in our heart. Always remain devoted. Krishna. Suresh Prabhu, you had something to say?
I'll just ask a question and we can talk about it. The question is, when does loyalty and following, which you're right, it gives us, strengthens us, gives us power. When does that become sentimental and foolish?
Well, we talked about that in the earlier class, but I can briefly say that when it goes away from Krishna, it's like loyalty is all good and wonderful to someone or to something, but when that loyalty is at a certain point, now we're being loyal in such a way that it's pulling us away from Krishna, like in the case of Bali Maharaj, then our loyalty is based on attachment to this person, on could be like, what is it, codependency, becomes toxic. So, we don't want to be loyal to like some evil person.
There's a person that's in the piano actually that specifically addresses when a woman is obliged to follow one she's not obliged to follow.
Yeah.
That's a real good one. In the purport, Prabhupada says a woman is not obliged to follow someone else. Well, the verse says a husband who's addicted to sense gratification. Prabhupada spells it out. Addicted to intoxication, illicit sex, eating, and gambling. Very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Why, we're loyal. Our loyalty ultimately, I made this point too, our loyalty is to Krishna. And if someone's helping us in Krishna consciousness, if it's a devotee, we're trying to maintain this relationship. Loyalty is a beautiful sentiment of love. But when that loyalty is now to something material, it becomes,
Or even simple.
Yeah, it becomes toxic.
Right.
Thank you. That was a nice question.
The whole entire time after